So if you
Okay.
go faster and faster and faster, that thread will break and you will leave Earth's orbit and shoot
Hmm.
off either towards the moon, depending on
Beyond G.
where
You will go
you
beyond
break
G.
the thread. Yes, you will leave
Oh,
the. So that is the analogy, easy to
oh,
understand.
wonderful, sir. So, sir, how much time does it take to cover this globe and orbit, one orbit of
One.
the Earth?
90 minutes,
That's all.
1.5 hours. Yes.
My God.
So you see a sunrise,
Sir.
and 45 minutes later you see a sunset. So
Oh,
45 minutes later you see another
Hmm.
sunrise.
my
So
God.
you're orbiting 17 times around the Earth in a
Okay.
24-hour cycle. You've
17
gone
times.
Wow.
around. But after every 90 minutes, the Earth is rotating on its axis.
Yeah.
So your next path will be west of your previous path, and you'll keep going west like that.
Like that
You
it
know,
is.
so
So then how many minutes it took to cover our India part, sir?
Hardly.
4 minutes, 4.5.
That's
Yeah.
all. Wonderful.
Yes.
So
And sir, little
did
about
you observe? Yes, sir.
Cdr.
Yep.
Just one question I want to ask him.
Yeah, Patek sir.
A
Yes.
little about your takeoff, then your G feeling when you are inside the capsule, and landing.
Yeah. So I'll just tell you. Well, see, the thing is, if you you all have been, you're in the Air Force, so you know, uh, when we are flying high performance aeroplanes, we wear G suits. We wear
Yeah.
G suits because during maneuvers, when you're pulling G, the G forces are acting from head to the toes. And when that happens, the blood gets out from the head and starts pooling together near the toes. And you experience a feeling called gray out, which, if allowed to continue, or which if it degrades, ends up in a blackout, and you can't see anything. You may be able to hear for a short while, but you're no good. You cannot control the aeroplane in that situation. So what happens is that, although, like, say, the Mirage 2000, which I used to test, every aircraft had to be taken to 9 times the force of gravity. So 9 times the force of gravity means, if you weigh 70 kilos, then during that maneuver, you're 70 into 9. Okay, you you're weighing that many kilos. So but the advantage in an aeroplane is that at such high rates of turn, the energy being developed by the engine is not enough to sustain that. So these are short period forays of high G. Whereas during a launch, what they do is they make you lie down with your face facing the sky, so that when the G force, or the force of acceleration, happens, then the G force is acting from your chest to the spine, and the blood flow is not from head to toe, but from the front of the face towards the back of the face. So you can sustain that G, although the G forces are lesser, 3.5 to 4 G, but it lasts for much longer. It lasts till you are, say, till the engines are on. You're constantly being pushed. So if even if you're under 3 times to 4 times the force of gravity, you're lying down, so your rib cage is on top of the chest, and that is getting pushed. If your rib cage weighs X kilos, it starts weighing 4X kilos, and it presses against the spine. So when the rib cage presses against the spine, there's no place for the lungs to expand and breathe. So it's difficult. So that is why we need to be very fit and work in the gymnasium, where you take a deep breath and lock your muscles, so that you're holding against muscular force. You are creating that space for the rib cage not to collapse towards the spine, and you're creating that space for the lungs to expand so that you can breathe. So these are techniques which we learn during training. So that is what the launch is like. And suddenly, after a few more minutes, G to zero G in an instant. Absolutely. So from being pressed into the state, you start floating. Life in orbit is all floating. And,
Yeah,
you feel like Superman. You want to go from one end to the other. You push this wall and you go flying to the other side.
yeah.
So it's very easy to move from point A to B, but very difficult to work because
Yeah,
everything is also flying around.
you are not stable at all.
You're not stable.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So you're muted.
What was the total distance covered, sir, for this 8 days of flying?
Well, I mean, I had thought of putting my TA claim as per the kilometers. Well, you can calculate. You can
Yeah,
calculate 7.3 kilometers per second
Acha, for the
into
8 days.
yes, yes,
into nine
My
into
God.
90 minutes. Into 90 minutes, that is only one orbit. Into 17, that is 17 orbits. Into 8 days, well, those many
yeah,
kilometers.
yeah, yeah.
Infinite हो
Thank
जाएगा.
you, thank you.
And highest point, sir, touched. Highest point touched.
No, so it's a circular orbit basically.
500
500
kilometers away
kilometers.
from now.
Acha, okay. Well, how did you feel, sir, while going into the orbit? While you were when you reached that orbit, that place station, what was your feeling, sir, at that
Yeah.
point of time?
So now the other thing which changes which take place in the body is that when you're on Earth, the heart is pumping blood against gravity towards the head. But
Yes, sir.
within about 5, 6 minutes, you're in orbit, and from that gravity environment, you're going to zero gravity. But the heart is continuing to pump at the old rate. So too much blood gets collected in the head,
Sir.
and that is how you get symptoms of space sickness and all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but the human body then adapts to zero gravity. Your heart rate slows down, and then you come to the new normal of a lower heart rate,
Sir.
and that is the new equilibrium which is maintained. And the reverse happens when you return back to Earth, because
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
yeah, your heart rate to come back to Earth is not enough. That is why you feel very balance becomes difficult and all for about 2 days. It takes about 2 days to get back to normal.
So it's really wonderful how you adapted to these extreme changes of all these things,
The human body is a great organism, you see.
Hmm.
sir.
So you just
Gets
got to,
adapted in any position.
yeah. If you don't have any latent medical problems, I think everybody can easily adapt. You just got
Oh.
to be a fit person. That's all.
What was the happiest moments, sir, while in the space for you out of 8 days?
Well, one couldn't help. So this is what the difference is.
Sir.
When once you are established in orbit, the happy part is that you consider yourself so fortunate to have been there, to have got this chance to look down upon, and the lovely sights you see. For example, each sunrise is a beautiful sight. Each
Sir.
sunset is a beautiful sight, and you see so many of them. So
Okay.
those were all very happy moments.
Such a
But
short time.
one
So,
was kept very, very busy because this is an extremely uh, expensive activity. So
sir.
obviously, every minute had
Every
to be
second was
productive.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
be
So,
productive.
what were the most challenging circumstances? I mean, time while in flight.
Well, the launch, of course, you see, for a pilot, for a test pilot, the most difficult thing is when things happen automatically, when
Okay.
you're not in control. So your life depends on a computer program. So
Yes,
this
sir.
is something which we are not used to,
Sir.
because all our careers we have been as you know, we sign for the aircraft on the Form 700 until we land back and say duty carried out. We are responsible for that aircraft. So here, you're kind of being taken for a ride, shall we say, and you have no means to control that. Similarly, when you are re-entry and return is taking place, it's a very fiery return. The skin friction is so high that your whole capsule is covered with plasma and flames, and the heat shield protects you, and you
Mm,
have to come through that. There is no communication. So
okay,
during those periods, you hope that everything works well.
okay, okay. So, sir, you did some yogas also, sir, at that
Yeah.
and trail. Yes, sir. How was that experience?
Well, that experiment was to find out. The problem of space sickness is such that you have to find out how to prepare yourself for space flight. So it was decided that I will stop training as per the Russian method about 3 months before the launch, and I will do only yoga. Idea
Sir.
was to check if my adaptation to zero gravity and on return readaptation to Earth's gravity, whether it would be better than the Soviets who were doing who did their preparation as per their method.
Okay.
So neither I had a problem nor did they have a problem. They were, of course, experienced. And mine was the very first time. But the problem with, I won't say that the result was conclusive, primarily because the sample data is not
Sir.
statistically valid.
Sir.
And the reason for that is that maybe I was one of those guys who would not have felt space sick at all. Like there are people who fly, some get air sick, others don't. So
Yes, sir.
if I was that kind of a guy, one cannot say that it was because of yoga I didn't feel air sick. Maybe I wouldn't have felt space
Okay.
sick even otherwise. So we don't have enough data.
Okay.
When we have our own astronauts going up, then we can probably over a period of time collect enough data to be able to see whether this is a better way of training than the other ways of training.
You did the proud to our Air Force, not only to Air Force, entire India also, sir. So you are the true son of India. And of course, we are glad that you are also decorated with Ashok Chakra for that
Thank you.
mission. And how did you enjoy your success? Of course, enjoyed in the space while on coming to ground, particularly India after success.
Yeah, so you have to be prepared to lose your privacy, and you see, you become known only by
Celebrity.
name, and face, but you don't have the other support systems with you uh, to protect you from an over intrusive press or people around you. So you got to fend for yourself. That's all it
Okay.
is. So
You
that's
are
the thing.
valuable national property, sir.
Sorry.
Most
Yeah,
valuable
so
national property.
Yeah.
that's
So,
that's that's
so,
the
so,
tough
uh,
part.
so, again, another 10 minutes time is there. Let us open it to our members, sir, starting with our Brigade Apte, sir. Sir, Brigade Apte, sir, you can interact with our Rakesh Sharma, sir.
Yes, sir. Great pleasure seeing you after nearly 3 years when we met at the NDA
Thank you, sir.
or Golden Jubilee. And what
Yes.
I've, of course, that time there was no television national. You went into space, but we followed your video clips subsequently. I think Cdr and Patak Saab, you chose the right person, a distinguished person like Group Captain Rakesh Sharma. We learned a lot. Sir, I have just one question. During your re-entry, is the capsule the same or is it a different capsule?
You see, when we went up, there was already a crew on board the Salute. They were there setting up an endurance record. So they had gone up in their own capsule, and we went up in our capsule. But as per protocol, the capsule which has docked later, you return in the older capsule. Otherwise, the older capsule keeps getting older and older. So we went in our capsule, left our capsule for them to use, and we returned in their capsule.
Okay. So that means the transfer from your capsule to the older capsule, was it through a tunnel or how does that take place?
Well, both the capsules were attached to either end of the space station. So you enter the space station through a tunnel which is formed by the two doors which open inwards, one into the capsule and one into the laboratory, and that forms a tunnel. So you go into the laboratory and then you close the hatches again and you work in the laboratory. Then, while returning back, you open the hatch for the other capsule again through the same opposite tunnel.
Opposite
You
side.
use that tunnel to get into the older capsule and then close the hatches, undock from that particular laboratory, and then return back in the older capsule.
When you made the re-entry, the final moments, where exactly did you land?
We
Was it
landed then in Kazakhstan.
okay? That means it was a desert landing.
Yeah, it was the steppes of Kazakhstan, yes, grasslands. Yeah.
And finally, that particular spaceship landed, or you did a final like a paradrop?
No, the entire capsule was suspended under a parachute. So at 30,000 feet, the parachute is deployed. It's a huge parachute, 1,000 square meters is the area of the parachute. And the whole capsule is floating down on ground with the help of this parachute.
And
And when above 3 feet above the ground, retro rockets fire to slow down the descent, and then you come to rest on ground.
finally, when you landed, did you find a slight difference in your equilibrium of balance while walking, or
Yeah, yeah. So I explained that your heart rate is now optimized for zero gravity. So when you return back to Earth, where the presence of gravity is there, and when you stand up, obviously the blood is now not reaching, going back to the head, because there's not enough blood in the heart to be pumped up. And even when it is being pumped up, the pressure at which it is being pumped up is a bit inadequate because it is pumping against gravity, which while in orbit it wasn't doing so. So that's why it takes time to readapt to Earth's gravity.
one more question, sir. Are we planning any military applications of anything that is being planned to capitalize on your knowledge from space to be used as a military application for use by us in terms of weapon systems, in terms of the met conditions, and any other thing that you feel we could, now that we are going in for artificial intelligence, drones, and the whole concept of warfare has changed. So would that be a good idea to exploit?
No, but the space has had military applications for years now. And some of our special purpose satellites, I mean, we've also been launching satellites, not only Earth resources satellites, but cartographic satellites, which bring back very high resolution pictures, and you can see what the enemy activity is across the borders. So that surveillance system is always there. Uh, Communications are becoming encrypted. Satellites are there in orbit, which is conveying voice communications in a secure way between headquarters and the troops in the very forward areas. So all of this is being used, or space technology is being used for all of this. As regards drones and all, you're well aware that that's a totally different technology, and we are working on that as well. But whatever, if you're talking of beam weapons and all, well, it's. I don't think we these are, if there are is any work getting along, it will be in a very hush hush manner. Some projects will be going on for obvious reasons, but mostly our posture is defensive and not offensive. That is who we are as a country. We don't have any ambitions of becoming better. We are not going to be the aggressors ever, but we have to be prepared to defend ourselves should the aggressors come knocking on our door.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
You're
thank you
welcome.
so much, sir. Brigade Apte sir, for asking quite relevant questions. And Patak sir.
Yeah, I thank you very much, sir, for giving your valuable time to us. And it's a very long awaited, important, I don't know, I have no words to say, meeting for us.
Thank you,
So
sir. Thank you.
we are really honored by your accepting. So please take care of your health. You are a very spacious man for our country. Keep on doing what you are doing and wish you all the best for all these things, sir. And again,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you
Yeah,
from my side as well as our complete group. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Before
good
I
evening,
go, I
sir. I'm
would like,
Rajendra.
yeah,
Sir,
Rajendra,
sir,
tell
if
me.
you,
Yeah,
sir, yeah,
good evening, sir. Because I'm waiting for the question right now. Brigadier Apte only have asked. I think rest of the group member they will be having their question. I too have my questions. What is the size of the space ship there? And what are the foodings space this astronaut will be taking during the space flight?
The size is just a cylinder of about 50 to 60 feet length. Okay,
Okay,
and the width is very little. I would say uh, the capsule in which we are going, three shoulder widths, 3 inches on one side and 3 inches on the other side of the shoulder.
okay,
That's very
okay.
small.
It's a very
The-
congested space.
yeah, but the laboratory is a tube in which a whole lot of equipment is there. So that takes a
Okay,
yeah. You have got place to move around, but yeah, ah, nevertheless, it's not easy to stay in a cylinder. The world record is 430 days. So you can imagine being cooped
okay.
up in a cylinder, whereas we are used to going out to the park and things, which is none of that is available there.
And what type of foods astronauts are taking, sir?
Well, that there, it's a normal nutritious diet. We could choose from 70 to 80 dishes. And it's cooked differently so that, for example, if you're cooking rice, the rice will be slightly gelatinous so that grains stick to each other and don't fly about in zero gravity. But
Okay, sir.
otherwise, normal food.
Okay. And sir, I was in 11 BRD, and if I'm correct, you were having Tata Sierra in those days.
No, which year are you talking about?
I was there in 90. No, I went to the 1990.
1990. I had a Nissan, which was imported from
Nissan. It
Denmark.
was the Ravi Chandran. There was a shopping center. Ravi Chandran shop was there near to the gas agency. I seen you there.
Yeah, yeah. It was a Nissan.
Yeah, it was Nissan. Right.
okay. Yeah, thank you, sir. Can we
Thank you,
take two,
sir.
three questions, sir? Others are there. With your permission.
I've got another not a
Okay.
meeting, but I've got to
Okay.
make a call at
Yes,
this
sir.
time.
Thank you so much. No, enlightening all our air warriors about your journey, starting with Air Force journey, again going into space and knowing so many details which we did not know so far. And it's really incredible. And we feel so fortunate to know all about that cosmonauts, how you ventured into your mission, how you made it successful, and bringing laurels to India at that level. So hats up to you, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank you. But like I was saying before I go, I wanted to acknowledge I have in HAL and other places, I've always liked to know how aeroplanes function, and I want to acknowledge the amount of learning that I have received from those who were working in the flight hangar, in the RSS and the DSS. And I want to thank all of you for doing the kind of service you have been doing for the Indian Air Force at all odd times. You've been at short notice, you've been called, and in darkness and cold and in heat, you've been producing those aeroplanes, and all the safety services, which has kept the confidence of the pilots high. And as usually happens, that one only notices the astronaut, but the astronaut or the pilot is really the tip of the iceberg. The support system, which is down there, I
Sir,
think that rarely gets acknowledged. So for that, I would like to salute all you veterans for all that you have done for the Indian Air Force. And thank you very much. Because of you, I am here today. Thank you.
thank you so much,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
And we really feel proud of you. And we are really happy for your success and your journey, sir.
Thank
And
you.
finally, we're all grateful to our Mother Air Force, which transformed like anything.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I agree with you.
Yes,
Jai
sir.
Hind, sir.
Thank
Jai
you
Hind.
so much, sir.
Yes,
Jai
sir,
Hind.
and all the best for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
God
you.
bless you, sir. God bless you.
Thank you.